Hello, welcome to CLSP Politics. Sean Briscoe speaking. So I've got a real treat for everyone. I was at the Collin County Democratic Party meet and greet where I met the new Texas Democratic Party chair, Kendall Scudder. He's a millennial, he's 35. A lot of the ideas he's talking about are things that I've talked about on this channel, and I just cannot wait for you guys to meet him. He is a progressive. He's actually part of the Progressive Caucus. And yes, there is a Progressive Caucus in the Democratic Party of Texas. But, some people, people don't know. Well, you've just now found out. So, without any ado, I would like to introduce to you Chaiman Kendall Scudder.
And I greatly appreciate the opportunity to be here today to say hello to all of you and to introduce myself. About 15 days ago, I was elected as the new chairman of the Texas Democratic Party. For those of you who aren't familiar, my predecessor, Bill Burton, was the chairman for 13 years. And so that means it's the first time in 13 years that we've had a change of the guard in the state party. And so you might start feeling like things feel a little different. Because the Texas State Democratic Executive Committee made the decision to put a 35-year-old from the Progressive Caucus in charge of the Texas Democratic Party. You're going to see some things different. Number one, the party doesn't just take punches in the roll. We're going to start throwing them at you. All right. I personally am extremely frustrated by the messaging of the party in the past. I kind of feel like we let the Republicans walk us around like we're a bunch of lost puppies and we chase them, trying to talk about whatever they're telling us to talk about. We're not doing that anymore. Because we as a party have to find who we are, and not the other way around. And we are a party that fights for the little people. We always have been, we always will be. Look, in 2016, I think we got a little bit lost because we're patriots who love this country. That after Donald Trump got elected, we found ourselves in a position where we were preserving institutions. And the reality is that those institutions haven't served working people very well. And when we were in the position trying to preserve those institutions, it started to make working people feel like it was time to leave the party because we weren't fighting for them, we were fighting for the institutions. They said it's a really loud message last year, and I think it would behoove us to listen to it. And that means that sometimes those institutions haven't served working people well. We have an economy that's broken, and it requires working people to have to fight just to make it by, while the billionaire class rakes in record profits. There's 66 billionaires in the state of Texas that control more wealth than 70% of Texans. That's 66 people, more than 25,400,000 Texans. That is a surefire sign of a broken, rigged economy. And it's our obligation to make sure that our brand is synonymous with economic justice. So people need to know that when you elect a Democrat, they're getting out of bed every single morning fighting to try to make life easier for working people. How do we make things more affordable? How do we make the cost of housing more affordable? How do we make sure that you can put dance shoes on your kiddo? No one right now in government that they don't feel that anyone right now in government has been doing that. And that's our fault, because we have not been salient enough in what our points are and who we're fighting for. So that's number one, is that we need to define who we are and say it loud and say it proud, and that's we are the party for the little people, fighting for the working men and women of this country every single day in everything that we do. So, we have to show up as a party. We have to show up all across the state, even in the places where it's tough, and even in places where we haven't traditionally performed very well. That's Amarillo, Brownsville, El Paso, Texarkana, everywhere in between. If you've already heard me say this before, you don't get to answer, okay? But for those of you who haven't heard this before, there's 9,000 precincts in the state of Texas. How many precinct chairs do you think we have in the state of Texas? There's 9,000 precincts. How many precinct chairs do you think we have? 3,000. You're getting pretty close. We have 4,500. So half of the precinct chair positions in the state of Texas are vacant. What does that mean? It means that we don't have Democrats working in every single community across the state. Half of them have no Democrat working in that precinct to try to turn out votes. There's 254 counties. 55 of them have no county chair. as more than 20% of counties in the state of Texas do not have a county party. We aren't showing up, and we can't act surprised when we lose in places where we aren't showing up. And it's time for us to focus on that grassroots apparatus we used to have in Texas, back when we used to win. And stop focusing on how to keep a bunch of consultants in Austin pay. We cannot buy our way out of this solution. And third, it's not just showing up physically, it's also showing up where they consume media. I've been doing a lot of media since I got elected, including on right-wing radio stations. And people say, Kendall, why are you doing that? You're not getting any of those folks. Here's why I'm doing that. I did one about 2 weeks ago, and they said that for 10 years they've been inviting people on that show, and I was the first Democrat that accepted to be on their show. And that means that for 10 years, the people listening to that radio station never heard the perspective of a Democrat. We have to show up, not just physically, but where people consume information. The whole adage since the last 2024 election has been the Joe Rogan example, right? We're too risky versus a party. We're too scripted. We're always trying to make sure that we never say what's wrong and say the wrong thing. And I think that it hurts what we're trying to accomplish. We have to just go and be authentically who we are. Why are we so afraid to do it? We're right. It shouldn't be something that's so difficult to do. And all that topic of showing up, it also means meeting our voters where they are, even if they don't speak English. We have 30% of Texans in the state that speak Spanish at home. And if you look along the border at some of our more contested seats and some of our swing seats, what you'll find is that it's higher and closer to 70% of Texans speaking Spanish at home. We have no Spanish language comms department at the Texas Democratic Party. What are we doing? I mean, at some point, we have to acknowledge our faults as a party. Instead of going around and arguing with people and telling them how they should have cared for and shown up, that's unproductive. Let's look in the mirror and see what we can do to do better and to earn people's trust. When there were 1.1 million Democrats who voted in 2020 and chose not to vote in 2024, what can we do to get those people back? I'm of the opinion we've got one election to get them back before they're lost for good. And it's our responsibility to find those folks, focus group, and figure out what we have to do as a party to make sure we go back. So folks have been doing that. And what they're saying are things like the Democrats don't fight hard enough, I can't trust them to throw down for me, and negotiate away the things that are important to me. When asked to compare us to animals, they compare us to slugs and to turtles. That shouldn't be who we are. As a party, we were known for big, bold ideas. We were the party that ushered in the New Deal, that brought electricity to areas of the state where the big corporations and energy companies said it wasn't worth their dollars to do it. We fought to make it happen. We saved the world during World War II. We passed the Great Society, which reduced poverty in this country by 75%. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. And we were the party who passed the last balanced budget for this country. But not only were we the party who did all of those things, it was Texas Democrats who did all of those things. Sam Rutherford is who passed the Great Society. Houston astronauts landed a man on the moon, and Lloyd Bentsen balanced our budget. When the Texas Democrats don't have our shit together, there's a big problem. The whole country's out of whack. We need to own this back and be proud of who we are. We are a party of big and bold ideas, and we get back to that. And we get back to this decision that we shouldn't be afraid to be who we are and stand up and fight back and throw down for the working men and women of this country. That's how we earn the I will let our candidates worry about persuasion and meeting people in the middle. That's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. As a party, we have to show up and make sure that our Democrats know that we are here fighting for them, that we are a strong party that stands for something. And if we don't hold the levers of power, we've got to.
So he's about to say, when we don't hold the levers of power, we better be caught trying. And he's absolutely right. I really appreciate everyone who is subscribed to my channel. We've been growing, kind of just stuck around 4,000, but we're reaching new people, and I'm seeing new people commenting. Just want to remind everyone that if you saw a commercial during this show, I'm not monetized by YouTube. So any contributions are appreciated. Like and subscribe, share, spread the word. And this will be the first of a few shows I'm doing on Kendall Scudder. He had a great Q&A, so I'm going to share some of that with you as well. I hope everyone has a great day, and I will talk to you later.